Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of NC-17. We are on live location at Not There, but today is not about there. Not about Not There. Today is about Mr. Carter Daniel, writer, director, horror enthusiast, and all around awesome dude. He wrote, directed, and starred in Dent and Axis Run Fishtails, right?
Fishtails Axis Run.
Yeah.
I mean, before both of those, I made Fishtails Zero Hour, which is set after Dent, but it's kind of the conclusion of the Fishtails trilogy. It's a neat story told out of order, but it all fits together.
Alright. So before we get into the films and everything, what I like to do is kind of go back. What really got you into film, into the arts, and what were some of your inspirations when you were a child?
I grew up as an only child for a while, for about 7 years, and we had a big woods property, and I would watch Thomas the Train and Bob the Builder and some of these like cool creative shows, and then I love just like walking around and thinking about stories and stuff. I like Star Wars too, so obviously these stories encourage you to think big, and they have big worlds, they have big ideas, and I would just always think about movies and how cool they were, how you can play with time forwards and backwards, and you create your own world. And even as a kid, so many movies felt uncreative to me because like you can literally do anything. You can make your style, and you can literally do anything. And most of the movies we got, even growing up in the 2000s, were like remakes and sequels and this and that. But the movies, the look of movies, just the power that they bring, the momentum storytelling can have, I find to be incredibly enticing and always have. So from a young age, I was like watching those creative shows, and then eventually, wanted to do it for real.
Oh yeah, yeah. So going from a young age into your teenage years, did any of that change, or was it still the same things? And as you were getting older, did you realize you were changing with the times, or did you still have that old-fashioned feel for movies?
The feel for movies I always had, like I always wanted to be a director. I was kind of a little too baked into the mindset of I have to do this. This is the only thing I can do. I've since learned there are many jobs and sources of income. I currently have 5 jobs and love it. And filmmaking's a hobby.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully it can be a career, but I always wanted to do it. When I went to, I didn't make a ton of fan films or short films in my younger years. Like you should have. I'm so particular about the shots that I put out, the world, how I build it, that I really only want to do a project if it's like a realized project that we can fully commit to, and get it the way at least as good as I want it. And at least I did one short film. I did some small videos, but for how much I loved movies, I did shockingly little practice, just because I'm so particular about it.
Oh yeah.
And I did 1 year of college at Bowling Green. Very underspoken fact about me. When I mention college, I'm like, oh yeah, Evil Dead, that was on my college dorm room. Starman, I had a poster of that in my dorm. College, it can have its time and place, and I think for a lot of careers it's right. But when it comes to a job like filmmaking, where it's like you can't teach people to be creative. Sure. It's sort of something that has to come naturally, which makes it, the business side of it kind of.
Oh,
there's a whole approach to it. So yeah, I was in conflict with the school from the start. Like, come on, these people, these teachers that are getting facts incorrect about the Blair Witch Project and other movies, they're trying to like teach us. I didn't learn anything, and I decided I just wanted to leave. I immediately left college, and within a few months, I was shooting my first movie at 19, which I raised the money for, and whole endeavor. So there is follow through there.
Oh yeah.
Always something I wanted to do, and I did it.
Oh yeah. The independent scene right now is booming more than Hollywood, I believe.
I can see it.
And you being in the independent scene, doing your films, and kind of trying to maneuver certain ways to avoid the pitfalls of the independent scene. Have you ever hit a roadblock that has kind of stopped you dead in your tracks, and then you had to figure out a way to overcome that obstacle?
question. Well, my first three shorts, which I made that one movie in 2019. We locked a picture on it right before COVID, and so that sort of has sat in a vault. But now my new shorts tie into it. With those, we encountered a shockingly few problems. We had great weather for all the exteriors. I would say scheduling was a big thing. And it took about 3 projects for me to fully see it with people. But when people say people have lives, people do have lives. They really do, and I fully understand that. And I went back into filmmaking being like, I'll pay people so they'll show up and do what I say. And it's like, well, you're also putting people in front of a camera. There's long hours. I didn't anticipate that the level of quality I'd strive for with like the camera and the lighting would take quite as much time as it does. So I really had to get creative there. But scheduling, I was working with amateur actors at the start, and they'd done like other projects, but I think some of them were nervous seeing my project had like legit lighting, legit camera moves. There was like Marley was in it, so there's legitimacy to that degree. Marley Arnold. It took some work with the scheduling. I would call that the biggest hassle, because everything else I did, I wrote stuff that I could pull off. I had like tons of locations. I've never had trouble with that. There was days I'd have to. For Dent, we had 4 people cancel in a row for small interstitial moments before we even had Marley cast. I'm not gonna name names, but there were just some people, and they were just like kind of, we can't. And like at a certain point, I just had to put my foot down and be like, fellas, we have to get this. This is the small, simple stuff that I want to get out of the way. If we don't get this now, we're gonna be way behind. And for Dent, we had half as much time to do twice as much stuff. So that was a rush job if there has ever been one, because it's 50 minutes and it's made in 2 months. But there was one day for the finale of 0 Hour that the actor who played Aqualad, he was trained to be a firefighter, and this was a freak thing that just happened. But we had a trip coming up, and then I had to edit the thing for a month, and there just wasn't time to film Aqualad's bits of the ending, so we needed him there. And he was trained to be a firefighter, and that got delayed. We had to wait about 5 hours in the March rain in an abandoned warehouse. I paid everybody extra. I told him, like, look, I'm sorry. I still apologize to Craig, who played Hugo Strange, to this day. Like, I'm sorry that happened. That sucked. But we had to just wait. He was stuck in traffic, and I went to everyone. I'm like, I am sorry. Like, I told you this would be fun. It has been fun, but this was and we'd shot everything we could, so but it gave me time to charge the cameras and think about all the shots. And by the time he got there, I plugged him into like every shot that I had mentally planned. That finale when we're talking and the trains are going, that was shot in so many pieces on the fly. Like the original Evil Dead, that scene is barely held together with duct tape, if even. The fish doesn't talk in a close-up because we got it all from the wide and had to cut it up. And to the final shot, I love that ending. It shouldn't work. I was actually just the other day I was scouting at that warehouse because that was the main warehouse from the opening of 0 Hour, and I found the spot and I was just looking at it and I was thinking that scene should not work because it was raining and like the sound, like everything. Had to Axis, the guy playing Axis had to like mime their performance, and I'm just like saying like no one knows what's happening. But we made it work, and people are pretty cool about that night. That's one of those freak occurrences. Scheduling. People do have lives. In the same breath, I think that a film career demands attention, demands time, demands focus and precision. And if you have a family, if you have kids, if you have all this stuff that needs more attention, I don't think you should. It's you got to look at your priorities. I think each person should look at their own priorities and really decide. Because I've had talks with filmmakers who it's like stuff's not coming through because their kids this and that, or they pull out of it. I'm sure you heard, and it's like, well, these are still commitments that I am paying for, but I believing in you to help me. And people. I've met a lot of great actors with great follow through, but I've met some people who don't get back with you. They'll ghost you. In a short time, I've seen it all, but it doesn't deter me one bit. And by the time of Axis Run, I'll say, I think I got scheduling down very well. We had no problems. We maybe one day went over by like 30 minutes. That was actually seriously the most fun production I've ever had, Axis Run. But But yes, to answer your question, I would say scheduling was the big thing because we started in March and just you know how life goes.
Oh yeah, yeah. So going into your first production that you've ever done, what was the nerves and what really was your driving force to get it done? No matter what, there was nothing that was going to stop you. You were just going to do it.
Man, let me tell you, determined 19-year-old, nothing will stop him. Well, this was 2019, so the world was just different.
Mm-hmm.
And I was younger. I just gotten out of high school. I just wanted to make a movie. Unsane had come out by Steven Soderbergh, shot on an iPhone, and I said, "That's how we do it, right there." Because so many productions, even at the time, I noticed, were spending all this money on like this big camera that's a movie camera, but you only have one, and they don't know how to maneuver it. They don't know how to use it, to light it, and it's like your practice is expensive that way.
Yeah.
And if you shoot on an iPhone, you can really find creative new ways. Like there's a mobility to those things that I can't even. It's still insane. So the only thing that I needed for it was funding, and I thought we're making a movie, so we need funding. And I tried raising it the old-fashioned way. People talk to me about Indiegogo, but for the size of the movie and who I was at the time, it just made more sense to just raise it through investors. And I met with a lot of people, talked to a lot of people. I know a lot of big wigs, hot shots, honchos, fat cats, just about every type of person I've met. People that own concrete trucks, companies, and warehouses, and just everything. And I got a lot of doors slammed in my face. I got a lot of people who laughed at me. One guy in particular from New Washington said some of the rudest things I've ever heard, and ended by saying he didn't believe in me. To which I say, you don't even believe in yourself, dude. So I don't care if you don't believe in me. It was a nightmare, and people. Some people actually said some really terrible things about me, claiming I was begging for money. Some grown-up adults who should know better and be more sensible. And that's terrible stuff to say. But I come from a county where it's like classism and nepo babies run rampant, so people aren't exactly operating with logic. But they did say some horrible things that really, like, sort of over the years cut me down. But I raised the money myself, and I have to say, although pre-production for my first film in 2019, Violent Justice, was so unpleasant that it made me not even want to do it again, filmmaking. Production itself was incredible. We had so much fun. There is no reason that an entire production cannot be just the most fun ever for every second.
Oh, yeah.
When you have a huge crew and, people are unpredictable. I get it. But it was just an amazing time. It took quite a few months to make that movie. It was constantly some people made really good money. My sister and my Uncle Ben, who are in the film, forfeited $200 for their roles each, just because they didn't want it. There were other people from school who would tell me, "Oh, I'm so excited for your film," and sure enough, when it comes to starring in it, they're nowhere to be found. No, you don't want $200 to stand there in SWAT gear. Your face isn't even seen.
Yeah.
No, they'd rather go get drunk with their fake IDs. Nonsense. So we did complete the film. By December, I was pretty much done with the bulk of it. But it really, people were not available. And that was me trusting not industry people, people I knew who I thought weren't fake. And it turns out they were. I play like five guards in one scene. There were so many characters that I had to play in a single scene. That was a nightmare. But we completed the film in December. I have to say I'm incredibly proud of the film. We locked the edit around March 2020. So that was an interesting time. The world just completely changed. Everything went to hell. Man, the industry, it got ugly so quick. And then I spent the summer kind of off, and I got into a relationship, and that lasted a few. And eventually, you just sort of move on from stuff. I always had the movie though. It was done. I rewatched it recently, and it's shockingly good for not. I didn't use lenses or microphones or lighting, things that I now use in spades because I feel like I missed out and thought I was better than it, and I wasn't. I need to remaster the film and whatnot and give it a proper release, but it does tie into the shorts I'm doing now. It was an uphill battle every second. It was the classic, although we had fun for production, lining up so many things. I had to be like stand-ins, or fake chimps, I should say. I had to be a fake chimp many times. Ultimately, though, I will say it was a very positive learning experience. Even though the film never came out and never had that life. And even now, it's like I'm going to put it out into a market that's just overcrowded and people are so busy. But I'm going to have it out there and say, here you go. This is that film we made. Dill was in it as Dr. Death. Like, there's ties to stuff I did now, but it takes dedication. Every single second, you have to really have follow through. You have to believe in the story, and even when your own parents don't believe in you, you just have to go for it and say, I don't care. And I did, but I didn't release it.
Nah.
But now I do release stuff, and I have that follow through to be as creative as I can and unafraid to fail, because I never thought I'd do it again.
So this is the first time this has ever happened. I'm actually going to do a review with the director and the writer present. First, I will review Dent, which I have watched, and I'm going to face the camera when I say this, 10 times.
What?
Yes, 10 times.
I have maybe seen it that many times. With some fan Q&As, which is fun.
Alright. Well, I've seen it by myself at least 4 times, but then when like some of my friends or family would come over, they'd say, hey, what's the new thing to watch? And I'd be like, hey, especially my Batman friends, I was like, we're going to watch Dent. So,
that is the coolest thing I've ever heard. Wow.
Yeah. I will say, going into it, I didn't want to go into it watching it like I was watching a Tim Burton film. You know? Because I know that every single person has a different vision for characters. So the way I went into it was a new outlook on the life of this character.
That's what I wanted to do, even though it's a spin-off of a fan film I was in. I wanted to just treat it like we're completely introducing Harvey Dent and Rachel. And we're starting before that story. And yeah, I just put the character in a situation and I was just wrote from there. And I was like, this is what happens. This is the whirlwind he goes on.
Oh yeah. Marley Arnold, who plays Rachel, we'll just call her Rachel.
That's fair.
She knocked it out the park.
Oh yep.
But the chemistry that you and her have on screen is undeniable.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Everyone has said that, and I would agree. It's hard to look at your own project when you're making it because you're just trying to get it as good as you possibly can. And when it was out for a few months, I was able to look at it objectively and be like, wow, we do have good chemistry. Like, she's very good, and I'm trying, and it's very much what I wanted I wanted it to be like one of them old screwball comedies where it's like the 2 people in the office, and like even the trailer, I'm running down the hallway fast. Like, all these sweeping moments old movies used to have.
True to form of a film set in that universe of comics and stuff like that, the shady side of Gotham or the villains was never really portrayed as them being a good guy. You flipped that. And in doing so, I was invested more because I was like, I know Two-Face, I know Harvey Dent, I know all this stuff, but I don't know it this way. You know, and for that alone, the film stands leaps and bounds above some of the actual Batman movies that have been made. You know,
some people have told me this, and I appreciate it every time.
Yeah.
Definitely Batman and Robin.
Oh yeah. Well,
fun fact about Dent: we came out on the 25th anniversary of Batman and Robin, and my project has the same color palette by coincidence, and we reference Mr. Freeze.
Oh yeah.
And there's probably other references I don't want to talk about, but that's a fun coincidence for you. June 20th.
Oh yeah. Now I rate my movies 1 to 10. 1 being worst, 10 being best. And every now and then, a movie will go straight into my Hall of Fame. You know, and there are very seldom moments when that happens. But before I give my rating, I want to also review Axis Run.
Okay.
You know, because then it's going to kind of tie together, if that makes sense.
It does.
So
Axis Run is a prequel.
Yes. So Access Run, I will say, caught me off guard.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I want to say that after Den, it got, I would call it critical acclaim. People legit loved it, and were like, whoa, whoa. I wanted people to be like, what's he doing next? Oh, he's going back 8 years and telling this prequel about these two kids. Like, but I thought it was the perfect chance to do, like, basically a reboot, and also set up elements I wanted to explore in the sequel to Den. So that's very much what I intended, a curveball for the audience. Like, what are we, now we're in a sci-fi story with multiverse cops?
Oh yeah. So, to me, Access Run, what stands out most about that was the dialogue. Like, I loved all the action scenes, I loved the fight scenes, but the dialogue alone was its own character.
Yep. Well, I will say Axis, that performance alone is a fusion. Every Pathfinder that has a mask is, like me, they are miming their entire performance. Like, they're wearing that costume, but they're just... And sometimes we're talking and sometimes we're not, but those early scenes where it's just them, like, we are just acting out the scene, or when they're talking, it's literally two actors, like, miming it out bit to bit. So from the editing, I have to edit the scene around the motions and the dialogue that I know we've recorded for some, but Access I save for later. Those scenes, some of them were incredibly complicated and complex. The timing had to be just right from the look. I had to look at every second and make sure. And I wanted the dialogue to be a character because we would rely on ADR in these performances. The Pathfinders, they're mixed exactly like how I wanted them to sound. 1 in every 7 people said they were kind of hard to hear, but Access, I'm trying to disguise the fact it's me, so obviously wanted some distortion.
Yeah.
I really treat dialogue seriously, because in a short film, you are at a severe disadvantage. You have less time than ever to establish it, and I think big. I see all these shorts I'm doing in, like, the 2-hour movie form that I want them to be, but that's not what we're going to do, and that's just not practical. So I've really had to cut dialogue back. I've had to move stuff around, even in editing, to get it as efficient as I could, but especially when your characters are all wearing masks, your dialogue is what carries the audience. It's what they follow. And it's also set stuff up. There's, follow through. There's set up payoff. There's tons of stuff. The dialogue needs to make sense. The plot and writing need to be there, but the dialogue needs to be good too. That's one of my screenwriting rules.
There are very specific scenes for Access that kind of stand out. One is that very first scene, because it is, like, if you don't get that dialogue right, to me, the movie would have been kind of off, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But then the scene that really stands out, the number one scene that stands out to me, was after they kidnap the one. I don't want to spoil too much.
Yeah.
But after the one gets, kidnapped, and then, or knocked out. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. The drain pipe scene?
Yeah.
Oh. That was so much fun to film.
Oh, that, so many little intricate things had to happen for that to come true.
Yep.
And being a filmmaker, we have to be able to say, if we want to drop water here, we have to have that drop of water here. But to me, it was like, and this is meant to be a compliment, to me it was like you nitpicked everything that needed to be done to make that scene come to life. And when I was watching it, I was like, that's badass.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was another scene where it was one of Cade's scenes as the fish. By the way, he had a new job and maybe 5 hours of sleep every night. He was exhausted. So the second we started recording, he actually came alive as the fish, which was cool. Every other second off screen, he is exhausted. But that scene was complicated because now it's our first scene where you have a character that we're getting the dialogue from talking to a character that's miming their performance. So it was kind of Lord of the Rings, Star Wars-y, the way we had to approach that stuff. But that scene was important because we basically introduced them in the same scene. And by the end of the scene, they need to be on the same path to some degree. We also there were things we need to establish that his friends died and he sort of resents Fish for that. There were other little things. There were more little moments that we just sort of didn't need because I write bigger stories. But yes, I'm glad you picked up on that because I did think, somebody says I break the 180-degree rule in that scene. I think I know the moment and I think I know what I'm doing. So you should look up how precise my lighting is and maybe think I'm going intentionally there. Like, I know the rule, but
Alright.
try it. You gotta try stuff, and it's not all gonna work. But you don't always have to point out when someone breaks the rules, because maybe they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
But yes, that was the scene. Needed all the focus. Needed to establish stuff, and also it's a very relaxed scene.
Yes.
There's one. There's only 2 lights in the scene. There's one from behind the camera, and then there's one here. And I wanted to make it look like I love 2000s movies. Their aesthetic, if you can't tell. And I'm like, this is like a Michael Bay scene, but maybe partied too hard and was just tired. Shot it completely inverted, but still with a nice lighting.
Oh yeah.
All right, we're just gonna let the camera know.
No,
Michael Bay bad example, but you visually you get it.
Oh yeah.
I appreciate. I love that you love that scene. The other scene that's important is the field scene. Because that establishes a character who is not in the story, and it's the only moment that we have really to. And I cast a great actor, and he was really into it. He was as big a Star Wars fan as me. It's a scene too, where it's 2 guys talking, and we didn't even have a cameraman for that scene.
Oh, yeah.
And so with all the angles I got and how I cut it, I was able to cut around that fact. To move it, but it's filmmaking for you. You gotta compromise, move on, and.
Oh yeah. So to me, because I'm a critical movie watcher. Whenever I watch a short film, whatever. Whenever I watch anything, I'm very critical on the little things.
Little things are important.
Oh yeah, like with Dent, the dialogue was phenomenal.
Thank you.
The scenes that happened with the dialogue were their own character outside of the dialogue. Like the moment you meet Marley's character, it's like she's just standing there, or you're just standing there, and she walks in, and I'm like, okay, either this is going to be good, or this is not going to be good. That's how critical I am, and the fact that it smoothly transitioned from one scene to the next made that stand out just even more. And trust me, you can go on my channel. I've reviewed tons of movies. I'm very critical. I'm even critical about Not There. But the thing about it is,
it's not done yet.
That's right. But the thing about it is, Dent and Axis, the stories, although different but the same, complement each other.
They build off each other too.
Yes.
I would recommend people watch. Okay, well, the sequel to Axis Run is technically a prequel to 0 Hour, although Dent happens in between Part 2 and 0 Hour. And if you've seen them, you know why. There's some MacGuffins and stuff, but there is a lot of Axis Run set up in Dent. Intentionally, each short I made, 0 Hour set up Dent. Dent set up Axis Run. Axis Run sets up Strange Axis, and Strange Axis will lead right into the follow-up to Dent 2. But from the opening scene to a character in a big scene at the end, sort of the finale, a big disaster that happens of sorts, and a character that gives Axis and Fish a ride. Those were the 3, really the only ties to Dent I could have had 8 years prior, but I took them very seriously. New portrayals, the one character's de-aged, we did some nice techniques there. There's stuff like Harvey Dent literally has written Professor Hugo Strange, Robbinsville Fair. There's stuff about Marie Centauri that's overtly. I knew everything I was going to do for all 5 of these shorts before I wrote a single thing back in February. And with that roadmap, I can say that almost nothing has changed. Axis Run is exactly what I envisioned back in February, where I was like, next we're gonna do this prequel, and it's gonna be super slick. It's gonna be like the Phantom Menace, but awesome. I think the Phantom Menace is awesome, but like adrenaline eyes, what you'd expect from a late '90s Star Wars prequel. And they were meant to build off each other, and when you watch them in either order, you'll kind of get a different experience, but they will fill each other in. You'll look at how certain characters and events are referred to or mentioned. This scene we shot in Michigan with Rich Maltasanti and Dent. That's literally something Hugo Strange is working with in Axis Run, and it's going to play a part in Part 2. Harvey Dent's files are on Hugo Strange. He's trying to piece together the story. And I don't want to say too much, but there are many, many other little things in Dent. I have to rewatch it and go through all my props, but there is more fallout from these two prequels in that and Zero Hour than anyone, even I'm fully aware of. Because I want to like take little things that I placed here and revisit and be like, all right, that goes here, that goes here. There's a million pieces, and I can say I'm very happy with where there'll be when I get to writing the follow-up to Dent, which will be the culmination of everything, but on the prequels currently.
Oh yeah. So I will rate them individually.
All right.
Then I will rate them together.
Cool.
So for me, Dent gets a strong 9.5.
Okay.
I would say a perfect 10, but I'm always that type of person. I need just that little bit more. But then when I watched Axis Run, that also got a 9.5 because I wanted a little bit more. But then when I watched them both together, it went into my Hall of Fame. So.
Can't everybody do this? That's why I made them so intricate. For everybody! You gotta put in the work, but it's there. I worked so hard. Thank you.
Oh, no problem.
That means so much. I watched them together. And you saw all the little things.
Oh, yeah. And, shocking, we do NC-17 awards. I'm supposed to have all these awards made and sent out that I haven't yet. I do apologize for those who have won, but you will be getting them.
He's busy.
Both Dent and Axis Run are up for awards.
What? We got nominated, maybe?
For writer,
Okay.
for director, cinematography, and story. And story is a first-time award for the NC-17 awards.
Story support. That's cool.
Yeah. But the number one award that I actually feel is like the best one, and this is a group of people that sit here and watch these movies, it's not just me. But the number one award is actor, because you killed it in both.
Thank you.
So you will be up for 5 awards, and that's
What?
you're the first one being announced for the awards for the end of the year. So the last week of December, I will be filming this award show. And
This is an honor. This is so cool.
And just so you know that there are actual real awards. I gotta move some stuff. I'm sorry. Well, there's a box full of awards I gotta send out, but still.
It's right there.
Yeah.
I see it.
Give me a second. Technical difficulties.
Technical difficulties. I'll spoil the sequel to Fishtail's Resurrection for you. So they dig up Fish, but they can only find his upper torso, mask still on, and then he has to fight Robot Hitler Head. It's through the multiverse. It's a crazy story.
Just so everyone knows, there's actual awards.
There it is.
Yeah.
I'm holding it. I'm not taking it.
No, you're good.
Yeah. Pretty legit. Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah. Oh shit! Don't fall down. Yeah, but first of many movies to be announced.
That's the coolest. That's awesome.
Unfortunately, Not There cannot be up for an award because I run the award show and the movie. So
a little biased, but we're aware of it.
But yeah, so hopefully you'll be getting one or a couple of those. But
it's nominated though. That's huge. I never expected any of these to be nominated. Really.
Well, the thing about Dent and Axis Run is the story so far has been enticing because each character, like I'm not lying when I say I saw Dent 10 times, but I did watch it through a different perspective every time. Except for, like...
That's what I wanted with these shorts, that even just in isolation, you could watch them 10 times and keep learning stuff. But when you watch them in the overall, once it's done, you'll look at a million things differently. So many... I'll reinterpret them differently. Like, it's such a beautiful thing, the creative output.
The choreography for the fight scenes in the Axis Run that had to have been a daunting task because people were wearing masks, people were wearing aesthetics.
Remembering that day, wow, yeah.
But that final fight scene, hands down, was that was badass.
Thank you. That's what I wanted. Well, let me explain that scene real quick because that kind of demands just a little bit of explanation. That was the first scene we shot. The script had been completed a day before, and we were shooting that because we were able to get everybody. Again, people are not available, and originally there were 4 corpos in that scene, people in SWAT gear, and Bill and I fighting, and the garage I pictured more clear. We get there on the day, and we film all that stuff of them walking on the tree, or in the trees, and then later we filmed, because we were at the cabin across the road. And then Bill called us over. He made an hour for us. He was originally canceled, and I was like, dude, I've spent hundreds of dollars to get everybody here. Do not pull out on me. He's a millionaire. He can make stuff happen. He did. Thank God. He prioritized, and I love him for it. He gave us 1 hour. 1 hour to film that entire sword fight. With all our people. We got Cade and Ella. Cade's in that scene. He was there. We were supposed to film the other half of him in the woods. That was supposed to be a guard chasing him in the water. We used our hour up for that sword fight, so we didn't have another half. But Cade, when he walks in, he was there. It was like one of those average set BS moments where somebody got in costume for a long time and wasn't needed.
Yeah.
But that just sort of happened. We had to block that scene kind of on the fly. We had to shoot it very quickly on the fly. Work around. I could barely see. That was my first time ever wearing like the Axis gear in a scene. I had a very bad injury to my knee last year, so like I didn't even picture myself moving like this, and I have to really push myself. It was 7 people just standing on each other's backs, but everyone got it done. I couldn't have been happier with how it turned out. Shot in July, and we didn't start. I went and then I was in Dasher Slasher, and I did a whole bunch of other stuff before we even started filming, like around the end of August. So it was kind of like what we did with Strange Axis, where we shot at Living Dead Weekends, a huge mall scene. The script wasn't even done for that, but I knew how the scene would play. I knew how it would work. Everyone trusted me, and I can say I've seen the finished scenes, and it's cut to music. It's really gonna wow some people. Like it's big and epic. But I knew what I needed. I knew when I needed it. There's just a window when you can get stuff. You just gotta go for it sometimes. You gotta have the vision.
Oh yeah.
People taught me that. I didn't know how to filmmake when I made Zero Hour, and I was learning. And yeah, that's not a perfect project, but you can see me learn here and there. And Dent, you can see I've learned quite a bit. And by Axis Run, you can tell that I've definitely learned more, using better lenses and higher quality. The lighting's more precise. But that sword fight scene, just like the finale to Zero Hour and all of Dent, which was shot in an incredibly short amount of time, it shouldn't work. But I'm just so happy that it does. I spent months cutting through. We did multiple takes. I mean, it was as much as you could do in an hour. Yeah. So 1 hour for that fight scene, and I'm glad. I knew how to like take the escapee thing out, and some of those shots later of us going to the car were shot way later, and I played the fish's hand around in the door because I just put the shirt on, and it's pretty quick. Yeah. I'm glad that scene works. I hope it works for people. People have been so busy. Almost no one has watched Axis Run except for this guy and my brother who was in it. A lot of people tell me they're going to review it and get back to it, and I've heard nothing. I've ate silence. So I guess I'm doing good. I'd love to know what else I need to do better, or if there's anything this or that, or characters people are excited about. I don't hear a ton, but it's a busy time of year. Yeah. And also, it came out in October. So that's when that just happened, but kind of a slow rollout for action adventure thing in the summer. Oh, yeah. October. But the people who have seen it, gotten back with me, have really enjoyed it. I've loved hearing what people said. Just yesterday, someone who was in it told me they liked Zero Hour a little more. Yeah. First time I heard that. Personally, I love them all equally, but I was like, it was one actor, and I was like, I can see why he likes it. Because you're.
Yeah.
But that's just part of the process.
Oh yeah. So with the reviews and the nominations for the awards and everything like that, I know that I will have people email me asking questions. One person in particular, who's not going to email me because they sat right there and watched the movie with me, asked me to ask you, why Dent?
Great question. Well, it goes back to a Batman fan film I was in. We were supposed to cast a Rachel, and I was told repeatedly we would, and I just knew the follow-through was not there. And when you're an actor, even if it's just a stupid project with your friends, you take that stuff seriously. You really build the character out. You build the world, and that was very stressful to constantly have Fish's scenes cut. Oh, we're getting a Rachel. We're getting a Rachel. Never happened. And I had such a bad year in 2014 or 2024. I made a lot of mistakes, and well, in some ways they'll never be the same. But I walked away from it saying, imagine I'm looking at the horizon, the sun setting. I said, I just want to show what the Fish was up to for 45 minutes and show how awesome a life Harvey Dent had. That was it. Show Rachel. That was the objective for the Harvey Dent thing. Because everything that we don't really cover in Dent, like the coin, like things we don't emphasize, where he is here and there, that was all stuff we did in Kingpin. Like, that story was kind of already told. So I was like, this will be a cool 0 hour, Fishtail 0 hours like Saw X. But I also pitched Dent being like Saw X. To some degree, more different. But 0 hour very much is that crazy month, that crazy weekend. And then Dent is very much, it sort of became I wanted to make it a love story, and then I wanted to make it a crime epic, and then there was I wanted to have a barn, like, there was a ton, the original script, like, outline for that, it would have been a 2 hour movie. There was scenes of them going to Dorsia, which was mentioned in Kingpin, there was so much, but I finished 0 hour, Dent got delayed too, by a month, from the original release date, which was set a month after 0 hour, which was just ridiculous, I wasn't thinking there. At the end of 0 hour, my wrist got swollen because when I got thrown on the ground in the end battle, I took the brunt of it, and I was wearing a brace for a few scenes as the Fish when we shot at the end of that project. Didn't dampen my feelings one bit, but also Marley Arnold had a loss in the family, and she wasn't able to get back with me, and there were some delays and whatnot.
Yeah.
But man, we pushed through. I believed in it as a love story, and I was so young and figuring out, I still am young, and figuring out I've never really had a healthy relationship with a fellow well-off, good-looking person. And I was like, I want to depict that. There's so much negativity in movies and TV, and we have to show the ugliness, and we have to this is the grit, and I'm like, that's never been my life. I don't want to put that out in the world, and I think there's a lot of people that don't want to see stuff like that, like things like assault, and just there's just images and stuff, and I just wanted to show him in a positive light, because we really didn't get scenes with him and Rachel that I thought would have humanized him.
Oh, yeah.
And as it developed, I really thought it's Rachel secretly the lead of that. I wanted to make it kind of a subversive thing. It's called Dent, a very Harvey interlude, which tells you it wasn't pitched as a 50-minute project. It was supposed to be 10 minutes based on the title, and now it's kind of a cool interlude in the Axis saga, so it works.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to make it a love story, a crime epic, all these things. And just like when you're in love, it should be firing on all cylinders. Everything should be at a 10. The romance, the excitement, the danger, the suspense, the insanity. We really see Harvey Dent lose his mind, and we see flashes of Kingpin. Those were scenes from Kingpin.
Yeah.
And so especially at the end when he has when he has the vision at the end and he's in the Red Room.
Mm-hmm.
That was shot for another project called Prince of Gotham, which was a 5-minute thing. The director told me, hey, I just need footage of Harvey Dent. Same when I'm at the podium. That's why that looked different, because that was shot in January before I directed anything. So I just set up a light, and I was just like, hi. It's actually a funny 4-minute little thing where I go, hi, this thing isn't on. That's weird. Thank you for all joining us. Please remember no flash. It's this cool little bit. But the bit with the hospital, that was really cool, because I shot that in January knowing I would come back to that at the end of Dent. Prince of Gotham's a project that's out. It's fine. It's a little small thing. There's nothing much. But those final moments, Marley suggested we feature Harvey Dent burned as Two-Face, so we see Two-Face.
Oh, yeah.
And using that scene and some of the other shots, I wanted to also realize that this was becoming a sort of mental health exploration through a Dario Argento, Panis Cosmato crazed lens. So at the end, when we're we literally go into his head, and we are seeing he is stuck in his own mind, and we are literally pulling through levels of Harvey, and you see his eyes open in one and looks at it in the other. I knew I wanted to bookend it there, and that kind of gives Dent this sort of conclusion in any way, even though it is really the beginning of the story.
Yeah.
I kind of bookend it where I began, and it's really just important to know where you're going to go with everything.
Oh, yeah.
And I and creating Dent, I felt that there's still little character names and groups and stuff I'm going to explore in other stories, but I used Dent as this project to basically do everything I wanted, except action. That was the first thing I realized when I finished the script. I looked at it, I'm like, wow, there is no action in this. There is not a single action scene. Maybe Harvey Dent running in one moment. And I was bummed, because right after 0 Hour, I wrote the story for, well, I made up the story for all 3 all 4, technically 5 in my head. And when I finished 0 Hour, I was a little bummed, because I was like, oh man, I want to go right into Axis Run. I want to tell that story. Like, I had it all. I was like, I pitched it with Dent, so I gotta do Dent. And then Dent was like a total shift, taught me so much. I've called Dent the most powerful experience of my life. And the fact, it really, Fish taught me to be not care. Axis taught me to be a leader, but Harvey Dent really taught me how to be a man, and how to lead people, and how to be a good person. Because that was such a huge production. There was so much. Like, it was actually insane. But I had follow through with it. I really believed in it. And it really, because of the help everyone gave me, it really took shape. And it kind of became this... It kind of became bigger than I ever intended.
Oh, yeah.
And so the fact that it's gotten kind of acclaim of sorts is, like, just warmed my heart.
Oh, yeah. Not very often do I compare actors, especially from independent film to like Hollywood and stuff like that. There's two different characters that stood out to me from other movies in your Dent. One, Ray Liotta from Goodfellas. Just because it was the sophisticatedness of the character, but also the seriousness also. If that makes sense.
It does.
You know, but then the second character, and this is completely like, there are certain lines of dialogue where I couldn't help but crack a smile, crack a little bit of a giggle. So Joe Pesci from Home Alone. You know, and the
awesome.
only reason is because when he's a cop or playing the cop at the beginning,
yeah,
you know, I was like, you know, that's Dent, just a little bit. You know, just call me crazy though.
No. It's, oh man, I love hearing opinions on Dent. I'll never tell anyone they're crazy for having them. I love it. I never even thought of it that way. The one guard that points the gun at Fish in Axis Run, a few people were like, "Hey, that sounded like Joe Pesci."
Yeah.
That's my buddy Drew, who does sound like Joe Pesci, but
yeah.
it's funny you mentioned that. I hadn't seen a ton of mob movies. I hadn't seen Sopranos or Goodfellas yet when I made Dent. I have since. I really like the crime genre. Even I didn't have a grasp on it. I've just seen some ugly things in life, and I understand direction. I understand momentum and story, and people compliment the writing on that project, but I really just wrote from the heart. I wanted to do this, and I wanted to do this, and it all worked out, thankfully.
Oh yeah. I do want to take this moment to kind of talk about Marley Arnold. You know,
she is in both.
Yes.
You caught her character in Axis Run?
Yep, she was there. Yep. I don't want to spoil it.
It's hidden. You have to. I don't even know if to look for it. It's there, but you'll know when you know.
Oh yeah. I think with Marley, it's never a hit or miss. It's always a hit. She's always going to be there. She's always going to deliver. But I think her characterization of Rachel was better than any of the Rachels I've seen in any of the Batmans. That's the God's honest truth.
I think Rachel was only in Dark Knight.
Yeah, Dark Knight, yeah.
Well, technically there are two Rachels.
Yeah.
Which we both agreed Maggie Gyllenhaal is the much better of the two. Marley, I put out an audition. I'd done that for my first film for the romantic lead, but I'd mostly been using non-actors. So for Dan, I put out a casting notice, and Marley was one of the few girls that I thought looked the part. She had the right energy for it. She was down for, I was like, oh, there's intimate scenes, and there's like a kiss. It's getting back into filmmaking is all new to me. But she was just down for everything, and we actually together, we didn't quite take that romance as far as it was originally written or intended, and we talked about more, but a lot of it was, YouTube boundaries and stuff. Didn't need to be quite as strong as it was, but there are moments in that project where you like I have to open up on camera and be vulnerable or like show emotion. And she encouraged me and inspired me. She was great to work with. She kept coming back. I think she came back like 3 or 4 times. She talked me into doing the Two-Face makeup that we see at the end. Not too much of a spoiler. Harvey Dent thing has. Eventually, you get a glimpse, but that was not going to be there originally. It was not in the original rough cut I screened for producers, and she came back the week before we filmed that, and we knocked that out at the hole, which was the spot where we filmed the face burn for Kingpin. Literally bridging it from the one shot to the new shot as it pushes in. That's kind of cutting through time. I mean, she's brought her A game. She was incredible, and she was so incredible. Actually, I forgot. The sword fight and Axis run was not the first scene shot. The first scene shot technically was her scene in that.
Yeah.
That's a classic shoot the rodeo scene. You'll know it when you see it. But my boss walked by. He's like, "What are you doing?" But everyone from my town saw me, and I was like, "Oh, we're filming a thing with this." And Marley's, dropped dead incredible in every way. So everyone thought we were together, and I'm like, "Oh, we're working." But that scene, I had such a good time on Dent, and she inspired me so much. I was like, I'm going to have you here, because it's the only place I think I can fit you into the story, but it's crucial, it's important, and it does kind of mean something in a neat way with how that character connects to Dent. And it doesn't really change much about the character or anything. It kind of shows a new dimension to him and who he worked for, which will play into the future, but just the simple, even to the way it's filmed, that's exactly how I wanted. The second you see that, you know it.
Oh yeah. I do want to say her direction of how she takes every character, because I've seen quite a few things she's been in.
Oh yeah.
Her direction that she takes a character, she makes it as if it's so. No one else can take these roles. Does that make sense?
Yes. I had trouble. I looked at some of the other headshots of the other actresses after, and I'm like, none of these girls not only were gonna bring it, but looked the part. Like she looked the part too. She did makeup. I'd never seen an actress put on makeup for an hour, and she's like, "We need an hour," and I was like, "Okay, we're just not gonna film for an hour." I guess I didn't quite. I'm like, "All right, everybody, we're just gonna wait." There's only 2 of us, but she really transformed herself into Rachel. She gave it her all.
Oh yeah.
It was roughly 2 days of Rachel office stuff. And then the first day we did most of the friendly stuff, whatever. The only romantic moment was when the head on her shoulder, but everything else in the office, I say it was 11 scenes, but it was really 14 that day. A Saturday, at least 11 scenes. We had to. You love the simplicity of that. Those were every single moment was devised in the most simple way imaginable. There's not much extra footage with how I position the mic and whatnot. And the dialogue is crucial in all those scenes. And it's just dialogue. So I'm like, less is more. The simplest approaches. Look how many times Harvey Dent's framed from the side, his face becomes a coin.
Yeah.
Or look at how, shots cut together. I might break some 180-degree rolls. It's okay. No one's gonna come to my house, and nobody's gonna. It's nothing bad's gonna happen. It happens intentionally, but yeah.
I think you and her, no pun intended, are a dynamic duo.
Dude.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
The like I say, the simple things sometimes are the most impactful things. Just your introduction.
The quiet moments.
Yes.
I absolutely love when we're talking about the properties and it's Easter eggs galore. And there's this quiet moment where I just look at her, and I wanted to play it like a very human moment. This is a good-looking guy and a good-looking girl, and they clearly like each other. Mm-hmm. And he has even just this moment, just smiling at her, and it's like he's about to say something. And then we cut to her, and I wanted it to really carry in those moments. You'd see just visually, they want to talk, they're not talking. That's one of my favorite moments of it. Just the little smile, because I've been there in so many situations. And all you can do is that nice smile. It's just like she said something there.
Oh yeah. I do. All right, so I'm not into the whole romantic thing.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I don't watch these types of movies at all. I have seen 2 since.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how they're written that in. That's why it was a fun challenge.
Oh yeah.
I mean, make all these shorts different and genres of stuff I never thought I'd do.
Oh yeah. But I will say the romantic arc from the moment, because let's face it, the moment Dent saw her, it was on, you know.
And we do. I realized it when it was over. I'm like, we go through kind of 2 years and 50 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Roughly a year in my head canon, but
yeah.
we follow them through.
Oh yeah.
I challenged Marley. I said, take a kaleidoscope test. Watch Dent and tell me what they are in every scene. You kind of can't. Even at a point when they're clearly like living together or they're talking so closely, it's like, I don't really say. I know what they are when, but for the audience, I want to leave it kind of open. He says, leave the light on for me.
Yeah.
He's clearly living it with him.
Oh yeah.
little things that just.
Oh yeah. I think that beginning to end with Dent, the characterizations, the music, the cinematography, everything kind of just gelled together. And I think toward the end, I always want that little bit more, like I said, but to me, it seemed like this part of that story had to end exactly where it ended.
I realized when I looked at that final cut a few days before, I'm like, I think I've taken this about as far as I can.
Yeah.
Not many directors have a project they look at and say, there's nothing I want to add to this. But for all 3 of my projects this year, especially Dent, when it was done and I looked at it, I was like, I had days to add anything, and I'm like, there's nothing I want to add. I think it's all there. And for the creative process, that's important, because eventually you have to part with it. That's part of the process. You have to put it out there, and that's why I like setting release dates, because at a certain point you get to be done with it and move on.
Oh yeah.
And Dan, I'll say I didn't want it to end. It was such a strong experience. It's opened so many doors for me. It's kind of like my Evil Dead, except I didn't get cheated out of money for it by the mafia.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Axis Run. That was a fun movie.
Thank you.
You know, like, I mean, you rely. I can tell just by the way you do your films. Yeah, you may have action, but you rely on the dialogue. In every movie I've seen of yours, it's the dialogue has been its own character. But for Axis Run, the dialogue was also fun. You know, it was like you were hitting the sarcasticness of people, but also the seriousness, while also being somewhat of a sentimental kind of person too. And I think that with each character and each voice actor, because you had some voice actors in there,
quite a few.
One that stands out just because of the voice you can hear it anytime is Devlin. Like, I know his voice. You know?
Yeah, he voices a fun Pathfinder pilot character of sorts.
Yeah.
Who we only hear, but I'd love to have reappear in the future.
But I think that alone, the dialogue needs to stand out in more films. You know,
we're rushing too many scripts.
Yeah.
We're in a hurry to blow all that money on everybody waiting around set all day.
Oh yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Polish that script. Write some memorable lines of dialogue.
Oh yeah. Have people that can show up.
Yeah, depend on the right people. Many things.
So kind of like a full circle moment for myself personally is I got to watch your movies. You know, and I always say, you know, like, if I like somebody's movies or the way they do something, I always say I would like to work with them. Full circle moment. I actually got to work with you today.
Yep.
You know, and
it was going to happen eventually. I was always going to help with this project in some way. It was always a plan.
You know, the one thing for me that stands about you as a person, not a writer, director, or anything like that, just you as a person, you're genuine. You know, and
thank you. I try to be.
Oh yeah.
Fake on camera, real in real life.
There you go. Fake when you need it, real when you need it.
Opposite of most people, but I think it works.
Oh yeah.
I'd recommend it.
You know, and we live in a world, and we are in a world of entertainment to where it's dog eat dog.
Yeah.
for creators to be able to come together and work opposites of each other that are also from opposite sides, to me, that's what this industry needs more of. You know? And, like, being a horror director, such as myself, you know, I can only hope and pray and wish that people see the productions that we do as the way I saw how Denton Nexus was. You know, and that's the God's honest truth.
Today, hey, that was a great start. There was some Daniel Verse vibes right there. Everyone got along and as stable as can be.
Oh, yeah.
Not common on a film set, but you got your first one in. Hey.
Oh, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Thank you. Those shorts, they were made in incredibly short amounts of time. Very handmade. Very little money put into them, minus like some absurd amounts I paid people. Marley walked away with quite a bit of the dent budget. Money well spent. It's what the project needed, but I can live with it now. I just heard in the moment, but I really just I believe in entertaining the audience. I believe in a strong narrative. I believe in a quick pace, but also a full world. You know, you are creating a fictional world, and I love filling in those details. When I was making Den, I had a good map of Gotham, and so I referenced a lot of stuff. There's the geography here in Grant Park and all this stuff. I was like, oh, I want to learn about Gotham. And now with Access Run, I've built out more. There's Boxer Point, Crayfish, or places, locations I want to explore in future stories. There's original characters. You just have to have a good time doing it, know what you want, and keep at it. That's what I would say for all this.
Right.
I think we've had a very good start with Not There. I think NC-17 could really could be really cool in the sort of tight-knit family you could have between projects.
Oh yeah, I look forward to working much more in the future. Trust me. Yeah.
Did you really recognize Devlin's voice?
Yeah.
He was doing I could barely hear it's him. Just because he was doing
Well, so it's funny because I recognized his and a couple other people that I won't name because reasons.
Yeah.
You know, but I will say there are specific moments in Access Run to where I was like, got it. I know who that is. Got it. I know who that is. But then there's specific moments that's like, I know who that is, but I don't know who that is. You know, so that was good. You know,
that's what you want. You want to give your audience stuff to enjoy, but also think it out. You know, ponder on. Yeah. You might know an actor, but you know, one performance could totally change the way you look at them.
Oh yeah. Like, unfortunately, someone did spoil that they were in it online, and I was like, okay,
wasn't me.
No, no, it wasn't. But it's okay. It's okay because it didn't affect the way I saw the film. You know, I'm not a big fan of spoilers, but on the same hand, if I get them, I'm still going to watch the film because that one thing is not going to spoil the whole thing.
Yeah, it can't kill an entire film for anybody. That's ludicrous.
Oh, yeah. But, 2 more questions, and then I will let you go.
Ask away.
Question number 1. What advice would you give yourself at 10 years old that you did not know then that you know now?
10 years. Man, I was watching so much The Clone Wars back then. You can tell if you've seen my stuff. 10 years old. Well, that was around the time my sister came into my life and it got busier. I would honestly tell myself that high school is going to get rough. Even if you're at the top of the food chain in terms of having it all. It's going to be hard. Things will be hard. But I would tell myself that you're going to get through it. It's going to be easy. No matter how genuine you are to people, as long as you know that you were true and you were honest and did the best that you could, you didn't do anything wrong. People can be controlling and misinterpret stuff, and especially when you're young, you know. So, I would tell myself that, and maybe be like, hey, you're going to have some bad relationships. You're not going to know what a healthy relationship is for a long time, but that's not your fault. you're gonna really hate yourself and blame yourself for thinking you're not good enough when you were, and it wasn't your fault. And you know, you can't complain when you